The Strangers, Chapter 2, comes in at 16% on the tomato meter, 57 by the audience. That's some low ratings, and it's totally warranted because this is without a doubt one of the worst movies of the year. Now, I was not that big on the Chapter 1. The movie opens up with a little bit of a rehash of what happened in that first movie to remind us of the debacle that was The Strangers Chapter 1, which was basically just a rehash of the original Strangers. But this movie does nothing really that much to advance the story. So 97% of this movie is completely useless. It doesn't add anything. The end of the first movie is that she's running away from the strangers. Well, for 97% of this movie, Strangers Chapter 2, she's running away from the strangers. We learn a little bit more about one of the strangers in some flashback sequences, and that maybe could make up for that 3%. But the rest of it is complete garbage. You have got a scene in there with a wild boar that just comes out of nowhere, where it just well, guys, what are we doing here? How does this advance? How does this add character to the story? How does this add... It's just mind-boggling. The standout here is Madeline Petch, without a doubt. I felt bad for her because she is actually, like, look at, that's from Chapter 1. I'll fast forward here. So, as I said, it's basically she's just running away from them again in this movie. Rennie Harlan is just, I don't know what they were, like, who gave him the money to do this movie is just, as a trilogy, it's mind-blowing. It's awful. So, Madeline Petch is the best part. Her acting, you can tell that she deserves better than this. She's got talent. You're rooting for her. You want her to get out of this situation, but it's just kind of like, it's a retread of stuff that we've already seen before. It doesn't really add anything to it. And I just felt bad for her because you could tell that she was giving it her all. She was giving her best performance that she could, and the script and the directing just totally let this down. We saw that in the first movie that the town could possibly be in on it with Richard Brake as the sheriff, and they sort of mentioned that, but then they dropped that. And it's like, guys, we're now 2 movies into this. You've set up the town that's going to be kind of like behind this mythos, and we're not even going into that storyline. Instead, we're having side stories with boars out in the woods, and it's just, it's not scary, and it's a bit like pulling teeth, and it sucks because, as I said, Madeline Petch is good. She's good. I would look at other movies in her catalog, and I would look forward to seeing more movies with her. And I just thought that, oh my God, she would be a really good Lara Croft. I don't know. There's something about her look here. I know that we're going to be getting Sophie Turner there as Lara Croft, but no, I think she would be better. She would be awesome. But I digress. Let's go over to the score sheet, fill this out, and then we'll take a quick look at some of the snapshot reviews for The Strangers Chapter 2. I'll be brief and blunt about this. Acting, obviously nothing is Oscar worthy in here, and I'm going to give it a full point because of Madeline Petch. I don't know if I can give it 1.5 because it's just basically a lot of screaming and stuff like that. Directing, I got to give, I guess, competence for a little bit of the technical aspects. Oops, sorry, 0.5. But everything else is, the story is, like, 0.5 for the story is just because it's got an interesting premise. That's what I award 0.5 for. But that's what, like, is this really an interesting premise? No, it's because she's just running away from them for 97% of the movie. Again. And it's kind of like, how is this a Chapter 2 to a trilogy? This is not adding any more depth to what should be there, and it's just a huge swing and a miss. And I'm gonna even dock. I want to dock the directing more. Cinematography, It was competently done, and if I were feeling generous, cinematography and score are out of a possible 1 point each. I would give cinematography, like if I was being generous, I would give it a full point, but I can't. Score, a lot of silence in this movie. They don't use sound cues to ramp up the tension all that much. I was really noticing that in the beginning of the movie. So we're sitting 3 out of 10 right now for The Strangers, Chapter 2. Let's try to take a look at what some of the critics say and if it echoes anything that I've been saying here. New York Times. With little furtherance of the plot beyond the confusing flashbacks to a creepy childhood triad, Chapter 2 is hackneyed and silly, relying heavily on Pesha's sneakily resilient scream queen. Yeah, so that's sort of about what I was saying, right? Okay, somebody actually liked it. Variety. Taken purely as boilerplate thrill ride, the sequel really isn't half bad. No, it's bad, guys. It's not even worth a matinee. It's not even worth seeing on streaming. If you're going to watch it on streaming, watch it with the fast forward button, because there'll be parts where you just be bored to tears of people walking through the woods. Are they behind me or are they not? It's just like, oh, for God's sakes. Harlan gets solid mileage from mostly dialogue-free set pieces. No, Variety's way off base with this one. Bibiani, The Strangers, Chapter 2 is an improvement on The Strangers, Chapter 1. Then again, a moderate case of food poisoning is an improvement on a severe one. Yeah, it's not good. And it is in contention to be one of the worst movies of the year because it's offensive. It's really offensive. The things that were dumb. The audience has got some people in here that like it. Lily, amazing film, needs an Emmy. Well, unfortunately, Emmys are mostly TV stuff. What the heck is? So I consider that to be, rolling. 0.5. Christie. No storyline or dialogue. I just thought they're completely confused. No explanation, no ending. And yes, it ended with a cliffhanger. To be concluded in Chapter 3. I don't really want to watch Chapter 3. There's nothing in the first 2 chapters that made me say, what's going to happen is that she's going to kill the other 2 strangers and they'll leave, but then it'll be like, but the town is still there waiting for its next victim. There, I just told you what's going to happen in Strangers Chapter 3. Why waste your time? Why waste your time watching that movie? Because this is pure tripe, and everybody involved in the executives, everybody involved with the creative team should be ashamed of themselves. And I'm looking at you, Rennie Harlan, Alan C. Cohen, Alan Friedland. I don't know what you were smoking when you came up with this garbage. And that's what it is, complete garbage. All right, guys, hey, if you like this kind of thing, come join us here on the channel. What was my final score? Do you want to know my final score? We were sitting at 3 out of 10. Watchability factor, I guess maybe if you're slightly curious to know where this goes, that's all I could say. So, that's my final score. 3.5 out of 10 for The Strangers, Chapter 2. So, if you like this kind of thing, we are also going to be reviewing The Baltimoreans, The Smashing Machine, and Taylor Swift, the official release party of a Showgirl, right here on Mirror Domains.